Okay, so I have to start this deep dive with a bit of a confession.
Oh,
Yeah, and it's honestly a little embarrassing, especially considering what we do here.
this is a safe space, mostly. What have you done?
Well, I was looking at my bookshelf this morning,
Mm-hmm.
and I have that whole section on like self-improvement and mindfulness.
I know it well. Stoicism, humility,
Yeah,
all the hits.
all the hits. I've read them. I've highlighted passages. I can quote them at you.
Hi.
But then I got cut off in traffic on the way here, and I didn't just get annoyed. I went full scorched earth.
Oh,
I
no.
was screaming, my face was red, and in the middle of all that, I had this flash of realization, I believe 100%, in the concept of patience. I know all the arguments for it, but I clearly don't have it.
So you possess the library, but you don't possess the trait itself.
Exactly. And that gap it's more like a canyon between believing something is true and actually being that thing. That is what we are digging into today.
We're looking at a source that I think is going to bruise a few egos.
Mine included.
Mine too. We're unpacking excerpts from The Architecture of Transformation and a specific chapter called Why Wisdom is Preserved in Structure, Not Belief.
And the whole premise is basically an attack on the way we, especially people like us, like you listening, the way we approach growth.
Right.
The text argues we're just obsessed with the wrong mechanism. We are all about belief, and we totally ignore structure.
Which is a huge problem because, as the author puts it, belief is portable, structure is not.
Okay, let's stop right there, because when I first read Belief is Portable, my immediate reaction was, well, that's a good thing.
Of course.
I want my values to be portable. I want to take them with me.
Right.
So why is the text framing that as, like, a defect?
It's not so much a defect as it is a limitation. Think about the physics of it. If something is portable, like a suitcase,
Okay.
it means it's separate from you. You pick it up, you carry it. But the key is you are the one carrying it. You're in control. You can put the suitcase down whenever you want. You can swap it for a different one.
So my belief in Stoicism is it's just my carry-on bag.
Right. And here's the really crucial part. The person carrying the bag doesn't change. You can carry a bag full of books on humility, but the muscles you use to carry it, they're the exact same muscles you'd use to carry a bag full of arrogance.
Wow.
The belief is just content added to your life. It doesn't actually restructure the life itself.
That stings. It feels like I'm just accessorizing my ego with better concepts.
The text would say that's exactly what the ego does. I mean, the ego loves belief. It's a super low-calorie way to feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
You can say, I'm a person who believes in justice, and you get that little hit of dopamine, that sense of identity, without ever doing the hard structural work of actually being just.
Okay, so if belief is the suitcase, then what is structure?
Structure is the building. You can't carry a building. You have to enter it.
Right.
And this is where the friction comes in. When you walk into a building, let's say it's a cathedral or a dojo or even just a tiny room, the walls don't move for you. You have to move around the walls.
The building dictates the movement.
Precisely. The text says belief allows you to stay the same. Structure works on the person who submits to it. It's an external constraint that, it forces internal reorganization.
But doesn't that sound, I don't know, a little oppressive? We live in the age of flexibility. We want agile everything. The idea of submitting to a rigid structure feels very old world. It feels like giving up your freedom.
And that is the modern critique, 100%. We equate freedom with lack of constraint.
Yeah.
But the author flips that around with a really sharp question. If you're free from all structure, are you actually free? Or are you just a slave to your own impulses?
Whoa. Okay.
I mean, think about it. If I don't have a structure for my diet, I'm not really free to eat what I want. I'm just a slave to my blood sugar and my cravings.
Or my phone. If I don't have a structure for my time, I'm a slave to distraction.
Totally. The argument here is that real freedom, the freedom to be something other than just a reactive animal, that actually requires a container.
This gets us to what I think is the most practical part of the source, this idea of load-bearing elements.
I love that term. Such a good architectural metaphor.
Me too. And it says that things we might dismiss as, like, religious fluff,
Right.
things like fasts or vows or rituals, they're actually load-bearing. They aren't decorations. They are tools designed to do one specific thing, interrupt the ego.
Interrupt is the key word there. We all run on a default operating system, right? That system is, I want, I get, I feel, I do, and structure just throws a wrench right in those gears.
Okay, so let's go through the list from the text, because I want to push back on a few of these. First one is, a fast interrupts appetite.
This is the baseline, the entry level.
But is this just about food
Mhm.
or some kind of diet culture thing?
No, not at all. It's about sovereignty. Biologically, your body sends a signal, hunger. Your brain normally hears that as a command, eat.
It's a closed loop. Stimulus, response.
Exactly. When you fast, not for weight loss, but as a practice, a structure, you're inserting a pause button into that loop. You feel the hunger, and you say, I hear you, but we're not doing that right now.
You're breaking the chain of command.
You're proving to yourself that you are not your appetite. If you never fast, you might believe you have self-control, but you've never actually tested the load. You've never put any weight on that bridge.
Okay, that makes sense. The next one's heavier, though. A vow interrupts impulse.
This is the one that really clashes with modern culture, I think. We value authenticity so much.
Which we usually define as being true to how I feel in this exact moment.
Exactly. If I'm not feeling it, I should stop, right? If I fall out of love or a project gets boring, isn't it inauthentic to just keep going?
That's the belief mindset. I believe in this relationship as long as it aligns with my feelings.
But a vow is a structural piece of machinery. It says, I promise to do this thing, period, regardless of how I might feel about it in 2026.
It anchors your action to a past promise, not a present emotion.
It saves you from the tyranny of your mood. Because if you only work when you're inspired or only love when you're feeling affectionate, you're just surfing on chemicals. A vow forces you to act even when the chemicals are gone.
And that's where the change happens.
That is where the transformation is. That's how you actually become a faithful person instead of just a person who loves the idea of faithfulness.
I see the utility in that, even if it sounds exhausting. But this next one, this is where I really struggle. A ritual interrupts improvisation.
Knew you'd hate this one. You're an improviser.
I am. I value wit. I value being in the moment. The idea of repeating the same words, the same movements over and over again, it feels dead to me. It feels like you're just going through the motions.
Okay, let me play devil's advocate. Why do you love improvisation so much?
Because it's creative.
Yeah.
Well, it's me. I'm expressing myself.
Exactly. It's me. Improvisation is the absolute playground of the ego. Look how clever I am. Look at this brand new thought I just had. The ego loves being the author of the moment.
Okay. I feel very seen right now.
But ritual denies you that pleasure. If you go to a tea ceremony or a Latin mass or even a military funeral, you don't get to be clever. You don't get to say, I think I'll spice up the dialogue here.
No.
No, you have to submit to a form that is older and, frankly, bigger than you are.
So the boredom I feel in a ritual is actually the point.
The submission is the point. It silences the little performer inside you. It says, this moment is not about your personality. And paradoxically, that can be incredibly freeing. When you stop trying to invent the moment, you can finally just inhabit it.
That connects right to the next one. Silence interrupts performance.
And we are always performing. Always. Even right now, I'm aware of the microphone. I'm thinking about how I sound.
I'm already thinking about my next question.
Right. We're projecting. But we even do it when we're alone. We rehearse arguments in the shower. We justify ourselves to some imaginary jury. We are constantly running a PR campaign in our own heads.
The internal lawyer.
The internal lawyer. That's perfect. Structural silence. So not just, it's quiet in here, but a dedicated practice of silence. Like in a monastery, it fires the lawyer. You just sit there, and eventually the PR campaign runs out of fuel. You have to sit with the reality of who you are when you aren't trying to impress anyone. And that is, for most of us, a terrifying experience.
Because what if there's nothing there? Or what if what is there is ugly?
That's the risk. But it's also the only place you can start to build something real. You can't renovate a house while you're still busy painting over all the cracks.
This brings us to the final, and I think the most controversial one on the list.
Hmm.
A lineage interrupts self-authorization.
Self-authorization. That's the motto of the internet age, isn't it?
I did my own research.
I define my own truth. I'm spiritual in my own way. We see all of this as empowerment, but the text frames it as a trap.
A trap.
Because if you authorize yourself, you are stuck in a feedback loop of your own biases. You will never, ever adopt a practice that truly challenges you because you are the one picking the practices. You'll just pick the ones that fit in your luggage.
So I'll pick the meditation that relaxes me, but I'll skip the charity that costs me time and money.
Precisely. You become the curator of your own comfort zone. A lineage, which the text calls structure across time, it breaks that loop. It says, sorry, you don't get to decide what the training is.
It reminds me of the old trade guilds. or even just learning an instrument. You don't hand a violin to a kid and say, play what feels true to you.
Right. Express your truth. No. It would sound like a dying cat. You say, hold the bow like this, stand like this, now play this scale until your fingers bleed. The structure has to come before the expression.
You have to submit to the lineage of violinists before you can make real music.
Yes.
But wait, isn't there a huge danger there?
Mm-hmm.
Blind submission to authority. That's how you get cults. That's how you get abuse.
That is absolutely the danger, and the text doesn't ignore that. Structures can be corrupt, lineages can be toxic, for sure. But the argument is that the opposite danger is just as real, the danger of being a puddle.
A puddle.
A puddle has no shape. It just goes wherever gravity and the cracks in the pavement take it. Without a retaining wall, you don't have a self, you just have a mess.
So it's a trade-off. You risk rigidity to gain depth.
Yes. And the text has this great line. It says, what is perceived as inflexibility is often protection against distortion. Think of a retaining wall holding back a mudslide. It has to be rigid. If that wall is flexible and open-minded about the mud, the house is gone.
That is a powerful image. We always think of rigidity as being closed-minded, but here it's load-bearing.
It's the difference between a definition and an opinion. A definition is rigid. That's what makes it useful.
I want to zoom out for a second. We've been talking about individual psychology, but the text makes a broader point about society, right?
Yeah.
It contrasts this modern marketplace of spirituality with these ancient schools.
It calls it the buffet approach. In the modern world, wisdom is a commodity. It's packaged. You buy the book, you take the weekend workshop. It's designed for consumption.
And because it's a product, it has to be pleasing. It has to fit my identity.
Totally. If a discipline makes you uncomfortable, you just leave and find a new one. Oh, this yoga teacher is too strict. I'm going to go find one who plays pop music.
Yeah.
The customer is always right.
But in transformation, the customer is almost always wrong.
The customer is almost always wrong. That's why they need transformation in the first place. Ancient systems got this. They didn't care about your self-expression. They cared about shaping you.
There's a distinction the source makes between fragmentation and cohesion.
Yeah, that's huge. Belief fragments. If we're all just swapping ideas, we're like a book club. We might have a nice chat, but then we all go home to our completely separate lives.
Okay.
But structure coheres. If we both submit to the same difficult thing, if we both go through boot camp, or we both fast for Ramadan, or we train for a marathon together, that shared submission creates a bond that opinions just never can.
It's the difference between agreeing with someone and sweating with someone.
Perfectly put. Shared load-bearing creates community. Shared beliefs just create echo chambers.
So if we accept this premise that we need structure, not just more information, where does that leave the learner? I mean, our listeners love learning. They love that aha moment.
Also, that aha moment is a trap. It feels like change, but it's usually just an adrenaline spike. The real challenge here is to shift the fundamental question you ask yourself.
The text says we usually ask, what do I believe?
And instead, we should be asking, what form am I willing to submit to?
That is a terrifying question. What form am I willing to submit to?
It's terrifying because it requires a kind of death of the ego. It requires you to say, I am not smart enough to invent my own path out of this. It requires humility.
Not the belief in humility that I have on my bookshelf.
No, the actual humility of following a rule that you did not write.
It reminds me of that story about the potter, the ceramics class. The students who spent the whole semester trying to make one perfect pot, that portable belief in perfection, they all made mediocre work.
Right.
But the students who were just told to make 50 tons of pots, the structure of production, they ended up making the best art.
The structure did the work. The sheer repetition, the constraint. It forced the quality out of them. They couldn't think their way to a good pot. They had to work their way there.
So let's bring this all back to the traffic jam, back to my road rage.
Let's do it.
I have the beliefs, I have the theory, I lack the structure. If I wanted to actually change that reaction, what would I have to do? Read another book on patience.
No. Please, put the book down. You would need a structure that interrupts the impulse of anger before it takes over. Maybe it's a vow of silence in the car. Maybe it's a specific breathing ritual you force yourself to do. Not when you feel like it, but every single time you turn the key in the ignition.
Something that feels mechanical.
Yes. Mechanical is good. Mechanical is reliable. You need a mechanism that engages before your emotions do. You need that retaining wall.
I think that's the takeaway for everyone listening.
Mm-hmm.
We live in a world of infinite information. You can download the wisdom of the ages in a PDF file, but you cannot download character.
Character is built on sight. And it's built with load-bearing elements.
So here is our challenge to you, the learner. And I'm warning you, don't just nod along and agree with this. Don't just add the importance of structure to your mental luggage.
That would be the ultimate irony, wouldn't it?
Look at the area of your life where you feel the most stuck. The place where you have all the knowledge but see the least progress. Maybe it's your health, your temper, your focus.
And ask yourself, have I just been trying to solve this with belief? Have I been trying to think my way out of the problem?
And if the answer is yes, just consider this. You might need to stop learning and start submitting. Find a structure, a fast, a vow, a routine, a lineage that is bigger than your preferences, and let it carry the load.
It won't be comfortable, but it might just be real.
Thanks for diving deep with us.
See you in the structure.